Chapter 17 Sect Benefits. To kill a divine power puppet refined from a subterranean devil with bare fists and feet, no weapon at all the aristocratic children present thought Fang Han was overwhelmingly fierce and domineering. At the same time, they all felt utterly bewildered by the astounding toughness of Fang Han's bones and muscles. Yet this was not strange. Every great clan and aristocratic family had their own secrets. It was possible the Fang clan possessed a powerful external art for toughening bones and muscles, so these young nobles had no intention of prying deeper into the matter. In that instant, Fang Han established his position in their hearts. He would not be looked down upon, and had already proven he was worthy of being won over. Sure enough, Lu Kang, the young Marquis of Jinyuan, and Princess Hongyi immediately recognized Fang Han's value. Aristocratic disciples were all adept at winning over talented people. Besides, after becoming outer sect disciples, a series of competitions were held every year, far bloodier and more cutthroat than even the imperial court's officialdom. Just think, hundreds of thousands of outer sect disciples fought over only a few thousand spots for inner sect disciples. The cruelty of this competition went without saying. Fang Han was confident he could navigate these waters easily, gradually improve his strength, and eventually become a true disciple just like Fang Qingxue. By then, even if he wanted to go back to being a servant of the Fang clan would never dare accept him. We are all equally remarkable. I only trained some external hardening arts, that is why my bones and muscles are a bit tougher. Your sword skills, princess, and yours, young marquis, are both schools of their own, each with unique styles, killing in the blink of an eye, far more accomplished than mine. Now we are all outer sect disciples, we ought to look out for each other from now on. Facing the overtures from Princess Hongyi and young Marquis Lu Kang, Fang Han knew exactly what to say, and that line about looking out for each other carried a meaningful undercurrent. He had long known that competition among outer sect disciples was extremely fierce. One could not survive without forming alliances. Besides, he knew far too little about this world, and had to gain knowledge from others to enrich his understanding of heaven and earth. For example, he still had no idea what exactly a subterranean devil was. Birth determined one's breadth of knowledge. What could a lowly horsegroom ever know? Fang Han was perfectly aware of this fact. We are all fellow disciples, of course we should look out for each other. Lu Kang, the young Marquis of Jinyuan, nodded. Once this assessment is over, let's go together to collect the items the sect distributes. As Princess Hongyi spoke, her eyes stayed fixed on the ongoing assessment in the center of the arena. In the assessments that followed, some candidates were eliminated, others passed. Especially a few who were princes and imperial grandsons of the Great Li Dynasty. They struck with deadly sharpness, wielded divine weapons, and defeated their divine power puppets almost like crushing dry weeds, displaying extraordinary deep-rooted strength. This made Fang Han quietly alert in his heart. A day passed before the assessment finally concluded. Of the hundreds of noble and aristocratic disciples present, only just over 20 passed and became outer sect disciples. The assessment is concluded for today. Those who failed, wait in the hall. We will send cranes to escort all of you down Yuhua Mountain shortly. As for those who passed, follow me to collect your mandatory sect supplies. Yuhua sect will provide you with residences. From now on, you are members of Yuhua sect, disciples of immortals. Your status is no ordinary thing. Every word and deed must strictly follow sect rules. One assessing officer announced loudly, then led Fang Han and the other past candidates deeper into Taxian Yuan. Mandatory supplies. I heard they are all kinds of magic tools. I wonder what they are. Fang Han wondered to himself. Soon, the group arrived at a large storage room deep in the inner courtyard. Dozens of crates stood inside, exactly one for each new disciple. With a creak, the guiding assessing officer opened one large crate. Inside lay a feathered Taoist robe, several jade-carved talismans, a sharkskin longsword, and several jade-carved books. This feathered Taoist robe is a magic robe. It is woven from the silk of 5 types of silkworm: heaven silkworm, earth silkworm, gold silkworm, silver silkworm, and black silkworm, infused with 100 kinds of spiritual herbs. When you wear it walking through mountains, it repels all insects, snakes, bugs, rats, and ants will not attack you. It can ward off 100 poisons and all kinds of miasma, and it is even invulnerable to ordinary swords and spears. Only a magic tool can damage it. As for these talismans, the first is the cleansing talisman. It holds Dharma water within. When your body is dirty, you just need to will it, and the Dharma water will turn into mist that wraps around your body, taking away all filth and leaving you clean and refreshed. The second is the dust-repelling talisman. The third is the soul fire talisman. It can conjure fire anytime you need it. The fourth is the true water talisman. It can absorb moisture from the air at any time, purify it, and store it in the talisman. Later you will go to deserts to complete various sect tasks and temper your cultivation. These things will all come in handy. The fifth is the blood-staunching talisman. It holds medicinal power within that can heal all kinds of flesh wounds. If you are cut by a sword or knife, using it will immediately stop bleeding, ease pain, and help the wound heal. The assessing officer finished introducing the robe and talismans, then took out the sword. With a swish, he drew it from its sheath, and brilliant light immediately flickered, like the roar of a dragon and the cry of a crane, inch after inch of faint glow shimmering on the blade. This is a demon-slaying sword forged by Yuhua Immortal Sect. Though it is not a flying sword, it can cut through iron as if it were mud, and it holds strong yang energy within it that can slay evil ghosts and repel demons. It is also a magic tool. If you are fortunate enough to advance to inner sect disciple, the sect will grant you a true flying spiritual sword, which can kill a man from dozens of li away, and even allow you to fly by riding the sword. Also, these jade books record 3 of Yuhua Sect's foundational martial arts: Pine Crane Longevity Fist, Flying Spirit Soft Bone Body, and Dragon Form Tiger Step. The rest contain Yuhua Sect's rules and regulations, as well as basic information on other sects, demonic beasts, the subterranean abyss, overseas lands, and the various great dynasties, along with basic astronomy and geography. Your daily task from now on is to study these carefully and cultivate. After introducing every item in the crate, the assessing officer distributed them one by one to the disciples. What fine items! My own treasured sword is not even this sharp. If you could take these magic tools out to auction in the capital, every single one would be priceless. Princess Hongi held the demon-slaying sword in her hand, waved it slightly, and felt the dense, cold sword chi. Of course. The material of our own swords is not worse than this demon-slaying sword, some are even better, but this sword was infused with the magical power of a master of the divine ability realm when it was forged. Lu Kang said that. Even a piece of ordinary iron would become a divine weapon if a divine ability realm master infused his power into it during forging. Fang Han said nothing. He packed away all the items one by one, and followed the assessing officer's directions to find his own living quarters in Wuxian Yuan. Wuxian Yuan was extremely large, fully 50 times bigger than the Fang Manor. It held thousands upon thousands of independent courtyards, one after another. Yuhua Sect had hundreds of thousands of outer sect disciples who cultivated on this mountain plain. Their residential areas included Wuxian Yuan, Luxian Yuan, Qingxian Yuan, Jingxian Yuan, Qianxian Yuan, dozens of such compounds. Each of these immortal compounds was the size of an imperial palace, grand and imposing. What a large courtyard and residence! When Fang Han reached his accommodation, he saw his courtyard covered several mu in area. It had pavilions, towers, and swaying green bamboos. In the garden, trickling streams wound everywhere, goldfish darted about, kingfishers sang in the air, and immortal energy lingered in the air. It truly was a fairyland. No wonder everyone fights tooth and nail to become a disciple of Yuhua Sect. The benefits of being a disciple are countless. He closed the courtyard gate, sat cross-legged on the large bed in his room, and first changed into the new Taoist robe. Immediately, Taoist energy surged around his whole body, and a fresh scent from the robe filled his nose. This robe warded off 100 poisons and miasma, repelled snakes, insects, rats and ants, and resisted ordinary swords and spears. In the mortal world, it would be a treasure that 10,000 taels of gold could not buy, but in Yuhua sect, it was merely a benefit for outer sect disciples. After that, Fang Han performed the blood refinement on the 5 jade talismans one by one: cleansing talisman, dust-repelling talisman, soul fire talisman, true water talisman, blood-staunching talisman. Immediately, he felt a connection between his mind and each of the talismans. When he willed it, a wisp of flame burst forth from the soul fire talisman. Such useful items. These talismans are absolutely essential for traveling. Next, Fang Han opened the jade books. One jade book was labeled Pinecrane Longevity Fist. The moment he opened it, a white-robed Taoist appeared on the pages, moving and dodging, practicing the martial art move by move non-stop. At the same time, a faint voice came from the jade book, explaining all the mysteries and power application methods of this fist style. It was 100 times more detailed than when Fang Han had stolen partial knowledge of it before. How can this book show images and produce sound? After studying it for a long time, Fang Han could not figure out the principle behind how the jade book could show a person's figure and produce sound, so he gave up. When his cultivation was higher, he would naturally understand. He opened the other 2 jade books, which also recorded martial arts, flying spirit soft bone body and dragon form tiger step. Fang Han opened both, watched the explanations and the white-robed Taoist's movements, and pondered and studied them one by one. His breath flowed smoothly. His whole body burst with boundless vitality. The medicinal power of the 9-aperture golden pellet seeped deep into his bone marrow. Fang Han could feel his martial skill had improved once again. His head-on fight with the divine power puppet that day had benefited him greatly. It had fully consolidated his chi flow and made his flesh tougher and fuller than ever. When he moved slightly, his bones and muscles crackled like explosions. Looking in the mirror, Fang Han saw that the muscles all over his body were like they were cast from steel, while his skin was smooth and soft, like the finest silk. Internal strengthening of the viscera, organs as hard as iron. He drew a deep breath, swallowed it down into his abdomen, and it churned with gurgling sounds as his internal organs continuously circulated their chi. Today's fight with the divine power puppet had been like forging iron and steel, hammering his whole body, burning away more impurities, and unleashing a great deal of the medicinal power of the 9-aperture golden pellet, pushing his physical cultivation to another sudden leap forward.